Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Adjust the Price. I work for a company that does commissions for clients. I'm the manager of my department. This comes with a number of responsibilities, one of them being bidding on work. Last fall, I evaluated the current global situation and how it would be affecting the cost of our supplies and possible shortages as well as inflation. As a result, I priced a few of our pieces of work to help prepare for the price increases I had predicted, giving us 8 to 10% profit upon completion. A well-known client came in and contracted us to do a rather large and time-intensive project. This individual is very well off and is in no way in danger to be going broke anytime soon. However, this client complained about the new prices. He had contracted us in the past on certain items and wanted the same work done again. But seeing the new price, he complained to the boss and threatened to go elsewhere. The owner, my boss, decided I had priced the work too high based on the complaints of this one customer. Previous customers had not betted an eye. Boss asked me to adjust the price down to the same as the competition. Just so you know, the competition does not carry the same quality standards and often has a 2 to 3 year turnaround. I explained to the boss that my numbers were based on the increases from suppliers and subcontractors with who I speak regularly. These companies we work with warned me beforehand about what was coming, and I took it all too hard. I had passed the warning on to the boss at the time, but it appeared he blew it off or forgot about it, and at the time of making the new price list he didn't complain. It wasn't until this one, somewhat well-known local client rose a stink that he decided to bring the issue up with me. So boss insisted that we should be pricing lower to keep up with the competition or we would lose this customer. Of course, I argued that it would hurt us in the long run and all we would be doing is attracting tire kickers. He stood his ground though, and I didn't have the energy to fight him on it. So in the end, he's the boss and got what he wanted. So the time came to order the supplies and pay the subcontractors. The costs of these materials as well as the work done on them were 90% of the price boss had agreed to the customer. This is before my own labor costs were factored in. The boss sees the bill and gets really upset and asks me what the customer was paying to have the work done. I gently reminded him that this was for a rich tire kicker customer and that I had warned him well beforehand. But because he wanted to retain the rich tire kicker customer, he got what he wanted. But the company did the work at cost, and perhaps more with my labor factored in. Boss later came to me and asked me to make up a new price list. I told him I didn't need to. I did that last fall, and as long as no one gives steep discounts, we will be in the green. He's listening to me now. The next story is called All the Software. I work for a large multi-million company, in which software installation and removal demand admin rights. This is due to a large-scale hacker attack, which occurred before my time at the company. As one of the few IT admins, it's within my responsibility to install and remove software for all computers. One coworker of mine's laptop had seen its final days and needed to be retired to its final resting place. I got a message from him that he needed his PC swapped and I said fine and asked him what kind of software he needed. He responded that he used everything, so I should install all we could. Keep in mind that we have software specified for roles within the company, and our company is huge. I sent him the whitelisted software list and again asked him, "What software do you need, buddy?" He answered that he couldn't be bothered to look through it and that I should simply install it all. Okay, my guy. I popped the back of the poor new machine and changed the hard disk. The original one would not be able to contain the amount of crap which was about to flood the gates. For an entire week I would work on this soon-to-be cursed machine. I swear I could hear it cry for me to stop, but I just kept feeding it software. Here's the kicker. Every time I installed anything, if it had the option, I would ask it to run at launch. I probably put 8 additional hours into this fresh machine, which very quickly works slower than a Windows Vista machine hooked up to a hamster on a wheel as its power supply. The 1TB SSD I installed took 15 minutes to boot up every single program, which would open at launch. The greatest thing was that he couldn't undo the startup at launch, because that required admin rights. To his credit, he lasted 2 weeks before he came back, apologized and asked for me to redo his machine. We are friends now, but he learned not to mess with the IT guys. The third story is called No Work From Home. This was 2018-ish, pre-pandemic. I was working at a nuclear power plant in the mid-Atlantic. Once or twice a year, we would get a heavy snowstorm, but we were far enough south that the local government wouldn't plow or salt anything other than the main roads. The power plant has a policy during inclement weather that no matter how long it takes you to get to work, if you make it in, you get paid for the day. Otherwise, you have to take vacation. I, like a majority of my co-workers, live in the closest large city, which is an hour away. The drive to the power plant is half interstate, half hilly curvy country road. I wake up and see that we have about 10 inches of snow overnight and text my supervisor to ask if I can work from home. I have my laptop with me, don't have any work going on that I would need to be inside the power plant, and I'd mostly be reviewing paperwork anyway. The supervisor tells me the policy for inclement weather and that he was at work already and the roads weren't that bad. I reiterate that I would just be sitting at my desk doing paperwork when I eventually get in. He is hearing none of this and tells me I am not allowed to work from home. I need to drive the 50+ miles to work or take vacation. I didn't even bother to respond and decided to take the vacation day. I head to a local store about half a mile away and pick up some snow sleds. I'd like to note that the roads were bad. I was driving a 4x4 and had some trouble getting to and from the store. The wife and I do some sledding in the neighborhood, have some hot chocolate and other classic snow day activities. Around 11 I get a text from my supervisor. Are you able to come into work? Hardly anyone showed up because of the snow. There is some document we need reviewed, and we really need you here in case we need someone to do something in the power plant. I tell him, sorry, but I'm taking a vacation today, per the policy. He tells me he's emailing me the document to review and he can sign it for me if I approve. I replied, I'd take a look at it if I could, but my supervisor told me I wasn't allowed to work from home. He never responded to that and I never heard anything else about it, but I didn't have to work that day, which was nice. I'm a salaried employee, but have to record hours worked in a computer program. Our real HR policy says, if an employee works any part of the day, they will be paid for the whole day. I put 10 minutes of work time in for the time I was texting him and didn't record any vacation hours. He approved my timesheet for 10 minutes of work and I saved a day of vacation. The last story is called Repay You. My company has been contracted by another company to repair equipment. This is done in work cells hosted in a building owned and run by the company contracting us, so we need to follow quite a few of their rules. During pre-operation, we had a skeleton crew setting up work cells, sourcing tools, yada yada yada. Unfortunately, we ran into a situation in which I had to make a run to a hardware store last minute in the middle of the day to avoid some other things running behind. Apparently, this caused a storm, as my boss put it. Our point of contact was up in arms about the fact that I timed out. We are paid salary at 2:45 PM. We all got together on the phone and I kindly explained I went to do business related things. My boss deemed that was more than fair and that our point of contact has no reason to be upset. The next morning when I came in, our point of contact was giving me a further ration of crap in a conversation that went something along the lines of, "You timed out much earlier than your scheduled off time yesterday. Don't do that again. We've already explained to you that I was doing business and remaining focused on our goal here, to get our work cells set up for our start date. No, you need to take care of those things outside of the time you are scheduled here. That is not acceptable. I will not allow you to think it's okay for me to be working off the clock. If you'd like, we can open a dialogue on negotiating overtime or supplemental pay. No, we don't want to do that. We pay you to set up work cells and organize tools only. You don't do anything else." Great, please outline that in an email. This way I can better communicate that to my team. So our point of contact does. Unfortunately, our job currently entails much more. We organize deliveries, we check drivers in, we direct freight and docking, we attend meetings to organize happenings for the week, and on and on. For 2 weeks, anytime anything came up, we delegated these tasks to our point of contact, citing their outline of, "You set up work cells and organize tools only." Things fell very far behind. I think the finest straw was when our point of contact told us we needed to get a particular PPE on Friday. Not required by us, but required by their guidelines. Our start date for 60 additional people was negotiated for the following Monday. Again, I told our point of contact that I will not shop for business related things on my personal time. On Monday, the 60 new hires arrived. Because they were missing the specific PPE requested last minute, they were technically unable to actually start doing anything, according to their safety standards. At this point, we are all being paid to do, well, nothing. So I touched base with our point of contact to ask if, now that our negotiated tasks look different since the transition of the start date, he'd be so kind as to let me take care of company business on company time. That way we can get the ball rolling on things. He told me not to do anything at all and that he'd get in touch with my boss. From what I understand, a handful of people got dragged into it. Lots of phone calls, lots of angry people, the whole 9 yards. This went on for the entire day. Meanwhile, our crew is just chopping it up and getting to know one another. Mind you, still being paid per the negotiations. Come Tuesday, essentially the same thing happens. Any inquiries that came my way were met with something like, our point of contact made the executive decision to outline our specific job duties during our setup period. Despite what we had negotiated, they deemed it necessary to make, in my opinion, arbitrary and baseless decisions on how we should spend our time during our setup period. During the last 2 weeks, they had every opportunity to reconcile any hastily made decisions but chose not to do so. This morning, our point of contact was gone. Apparently, their absence has been a complete sigh of relief for many people in the building. I always figured they just thought they could boss us around, cause we were the new kids on the block. But I guess he was always a controlling meathead, from what others have said. I don't know exactly where I stand with my company at this point, but I'm hopeful they see the humor in everything in hindsight. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. And if you want to support me even further, why don't you check out the channel membership? I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.